Mark Who 42 is proud to have Famous Faces and Funnies. This is a huge, mega comic book store. I mean, they just have literally tons and tons of comic books, novelties, everything. They're located off of 3020 New Haven Avenue in West Melbourne. And if you want to give them a call and just let them know Mark Who 42 sent you, it's 321-259-3575. But this thing is just a huge, I mean, you've seen comic book stores and nothing against them, but you've seen them, these tiny little shops, and they have comic books and they have merchandise and memorabilia and such like that. This place is like the best term I can put is the Costco of comic book shops. So you go from one store and there's another section, and it's just huge. They have Funkos. They have tons and tons and tons of stuff in there. I mean, it's hard to explain. But if you have any geekdom out there, Famous Faces and Funnies have got it covered for you, from Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, everything. And also Rick is the guy who runs it, and all the team over there, nice, friendly people. And I believe they're going to be joining us at MegaCon this year. So definitely want to check out our friends at Famous Faces and Funnies in the West Melbourne area if you're out there.
Hi, my name's India Fisher and I play Charlotte Pollard, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42, the Doctor Who radio show on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and with me today are
Christian Basil,
Zon Kuros,
Charles Martin,
and Gary DaBaum.
Yes, we have Charles and Gary. Charles Martin, where are you from? Where do we steal you from?
I have a couple of different podcasts, actually. I'm, for my Doctor Who people, I'm on the Happiness Patrol, a very occasional but funny podcast about
It
us.
is a funny podcast.
And then every week, regularly, unlike the Happiness Patrol, every Monday we come out with Space Javelin, which is a tech news roundup.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, it's available on SoundCloud and iTunes.
All right. Gary, where do we know you from? He asks no one.
I have no idea.
The wanted poster at the post office.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I got you off of a DJ spot on Krypton Radio. I think we stole you from there.
He lost a bet.
Mondays and Fridays, 10 p.m. on the East Coast, 7 p.m. Pacific, 3 a.m. in the UK, and I need to get the world clock put up here, so I give you all the times. But
No. We don't have time for that. But you know what
anyway,
we do have time for? We do have time for Doctor Who news and other news beyond the Whooniverse with your news correspondent, Christian Basil. Christian?
Yeah, I was telling you, you better play that theme.
We played the theme.
Every
Don't
time
worry,
I tried
the music is playing. Don't worry.
I know, but every time you try to pull that off, it was just like, well, if it's Christian, we won't play the theme. I'm like, what? I don't get a theme. Okay.
Well, I have theme music, and the other song is from Drop the Dead Donkey, so it's not really a theme. But if you want it, I gave it to you.
Speaking of donkeys, I'm such an ass. Anyway, we have just a few segments, both of them kind of on the negative side, but I'm sure everybody on the discussion board has a lot to say about this, and we're going to start off with the farewell passing.
Sorry. Before we do that, I just have to say, Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Let me start off, because this show...
And now death and destruction.
Yes, we're going to have death and destruction.
Yay.
But it is Valentine's Day, and our special guest interview will be with our Valentine's sweetheart, India Fisher. Yes, India Fisher, who plays Charlotte Pollard for Big Finish Audios, who has been a companion of the 8th Doctor, and then the 6th Doctor, and then has her own solo career going on as Charlotte Pollard. She will be on in the second half. But,
yay!
And it's going to be great. It's a Valentine's show you'll never forget. But first, yes, Christian, go with your news.
And if you're listening to this now on Wednesday on Krypton Radio, the day that this episode premieres, guys, if you've forgotten, and if you just really are at CVS at midnight last night, everything's 75% off, I'm sure, or at least
get that nice 75% off candy and get it to your sweetie now, because she is probably very, very angry with you.
Well, unfortunately, yes, we do have two tragedies. And the first one we're just going to mention, the farewell passing of Captain Apollo himself, Richard Hatch. He was Captain Apollo on my Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
The Lauren Green Battlestar Galactica. Yeah.
There was another one? What?
There was.
The Lauren Green one.
And it wasn't bad. It was a good one.
Think about Edward James Olmos. Edward James Olmos was good, but you have to have Lauren Green.
Yeah, Lauren Green. Come on, did Lauren Green
come on.
there.
I got nothing against the new Battlestar Galactica, but I'm a kid of the 70s and 80s, so I'm afraid the OG is my preferred Battlestar Galactica.
And it's just like for classic Whovians, they're going like, you know what, the new guys aren't bad, but you know what, my classic is either Pertwee or Baker or Davison or Trout. But Richard started on our screens back in the 70s on All My Children as Philip Brent Sr., had some minor roles on Hawaii Five-0 and The Streets of San Francisco, but we best know him back in the late 70s as Captain Apollo on our favorite Battlestar Galactica. And yeah, we're not bashing the new stuff. In fact, the new stuff wasn't so bad.
Wasn't so bad. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it was
good. But
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I think it kind of faltered towards the end, but
yeah, it got a little weird at the end. But
I have a question.
You know.
Are we Cylons? Is that what we find out at the end of the new series, that Earth is now inhabited by a race that was...
I reject any theory that suggests that Earthlings are anything other than Golgafrinchans. So that doesn't fly with me.
Well, anyway, Mark Who 42 says a fond farewell to Richard Hatch, who passed away at 71 due to pancreatic cancer.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is also a small tribute to Personal Space, the series that he just finished with producer Tom Pike, that we will be interviewing some of the guests on soon. From the series.
Didn't he just do Axanar also?
I believe he did a prequel to Axanar.
Yeah, he
if
did
anybody
prequel
wants to
to
back me up on
Axanar
that.
and was going to do Axanar, but of course I guess he can't now.
And I think he was a Klingon commander, if I'm not mistaken there. But yeah, he just wrapped up Personal Space, and all of our hopes and our love are going to Richard, his family and friends and fans, and everyone at Personal Space who suffered a loss. But I talked to Tom, and I feel weird about asking Tom, did you manage to finish it? And he goes, yeah. And I know I feel weird about asking that, but I don't know what to say. In that case, I said, were you able to get at least a whole series for Richard? And yeah, and he says all the first series will be dedicated to Richard in his memory.
That's very nice. I'd like to say briefly that in the early years of Gallifrey 1, the great Doctor Who convention out in Los Angeles, which I am going to be heading to again on Thursday, the Richard and some of the other original Battlestar Galactica stars would often be around. They all lived in Los Angeles, so it was an easy trip for them to come up to Van Nuys. This was back when it was in Van Nuys, and you could see them frequently. And I got to meet them and talk with them a little bit, and they were just the nicest folks, and Richard in particular, very nice, very gracious fellow.
Actually, last year, Mark 42 was at Infinity Con.
Yeah.
And the whole Battlestar team was out there. Richard Hatch, Edward James Olmos, and a few other stars. I'm sorry, don't jump off my brain. And one of our co-hosts,
That's
Patty
right, because
Hawkins.
Richard Hatch was in the new series. I mean, let's not forget that. He played a very pivotal role.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the new series, and Patty had a chance to do their Q&A.
Yeah.
And I saw a tribute from Patty's Facebook page, and if you guys managed to see it, please read it. It's a very, very nice tribute to Richard. So, Richard, thank you for being a fixed point in our lives. Wish you were in the Who-niverse, but you know what? You're in a universe that just encompasses that we love as much.
Yeah. It's another death of a childhood hero. We had a lot of them last year, and, I mean, you can't say it's the year, because people are going to die eventually anyway, and it's just sad that he was taken away from us at this point, but, he was always going to go away at some point. He had a full life, he had a career that brought joy to millions, and he will be missed.
Yep.
He has a legacy.
So, Richard, again, thanks for being a fixed point in all of our lives. You've left us a legacy to be admired for all of us, and a lot of us for our childhood. So that's something that we thank you for.
What is the second news story, Christian? Because I know this one's important.
Unfortunately, around Valentine's weekend, we have another bit of a tragedy, and luckily it's not a loss. And if you are somebody in the Who-niverse who's been on the social media, if you don't know by now, you you got to get out of that rock or get better Wi-Fi under that rock.
It dropped about 2 weeks ago. I mean,
it dropped 2 weeks ago, and we are going to be, this season will be Capaldi's last season. He will be leaving, from what I understand, if all the news I've been reading is right, he will be leaving around the next Christmas episode, which is kind of disheartening.
Ugh, yeah, that's just going to ruin Christmas, too. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Well, I mean, he did, that's what he did with Matt Smith. It's going to be interesting because Peter Capaldi is now scheduled to leave when Stephen Moffat leaves. So it is kind of like the end of RTD, where David left and Stephen had to come up with his own show and personalize it. Now Chris Chibnall gets to personalize his new show.
And I think everybody thinks that there was a little premonition at the end of the Christmas episode when he's right there at the dinner table at the end of the episode, and he says, things end, that's all, everything ends, and it's always sad, but everything begins again too, and that's always happy. Be happy, I'll take care of everything else. So people are now thinking that line was just a hint from Capaldi, a little Christmas cookie, to say, you know what, I'm going to be leaving. But I'm sure we have all of our opinions about why he's leaving, the timing of his departure, and I guess we're just open to the table right now. What do you guys think of Peter leaving Doctor Who?
I am scared to death. I'll say that much. Not technically because of the new Doctor, but because of Chibnall and the Doctor. Because I don't really know if a technical reset or reboot is actually needed or can actually benefit this show at the moment.
Well, the ratings went down the last couple of seasons, so a reboot, or rather a regenerating of the show concepts might help it.
But here's the contrary. The ratings have gone down in the UK. Everywhere else in the world, they jacked up, including here in the United States. So,
right.
If anything, I'm going to give him credit for making him back to an international icon. Every time I see the ratings from BBC America, they're going up and up and up and up. The Christmas episode was no different, both of them. Yeah, but the ratings are down over there. Plus, I think, in my opinion, having no Doctor Who this year was a mistake.
This is my chief complaint. I like the rest of this panel, I'm a long-time Doctor Who fan. And I'm not going to hold it against the entire production team, but there's a couple of people on the production team who can't focus. They have to have two shows in the fire and another one on the burner. That's too many. And obviously it cost Doctor Who. And I feel like Doctor Who suffered unduly because of that. I'm hoping Chris Chibnall will understand that he's the producer of Doctor Who, and that's it.
Okay, so we're talking Sherlock here. Is that what we're doing? We're talking Sherlock.
I love Sherlock. I love, all the stuff that Moffat and Gaddis and the other people have done is all fine. But it clearly producing two or three other shows is too much of a toll because you don't get as much Doctor Who. These year-long gaps, and if the rumors are to be believed, we're going to get another one after Capaldi's final episode. Mm-hmm. That's what is hurting the show, not Capaldi.
I didn't blame Capaldi for the ratings going down because I thought he's a brilliant actor and I thought he was great as the Doctor.
Definitely.
What I thought was that the scripts themselves, the stories, they were below par.
Some were, definitely.
I think Moffat's writings as far on Doctor Who had pretty much gone down in recent years as opposed to The Empty Child and The Doctor Dances, which were great episodes, and a few other great episodes that he wrote during Tennant's years and when Matt Smith first took over. But then it was like after they introduced Clara, the story started to go down. And I think that's a big part of that because he's just concentrating more maybe on Sherlock and those stories, which are still great, and not so much on Doctor Who.
I tell people who started watching Capaldi and gave up because they said they didn't like it, I tell them, skip Series 8, watch Series 9, you will get back into it. I think the Series 8 had a definite problem in the writing department, but Series 9 improved.
If you were to give like 3 bullet points from me, I think we should have saw, first of all, we should not have ever seen Magician Doctor. We should have seen Rock and Roll Doctor from day one.
Yeah.
And I think it was much of a I keep saying this on the previous episodes. I bet you what happened is in Series 8, when they started off everything, the ratings started to go down, and then Moffat was sitting there in his office calling Peter and going, Peter, I don't know what to do here. The ratings went down. I don't know how to fix this. And I bet you that afternoon he walked in with the guitar, with the hoodie, and with the Troughton pants going, here's your new doctor. I bet, and if we've seen that from the very beginning, I think we would have had more of a doctor. I just feel like Series 8 was so clamped down on him.
Yeah.
Series 8, I feel like, it was coming in like Colin Baker. It was already the start of the downfall. And I feel like the Series 8 were scripts that they had in a closet somewhere that they said, oh, okay, we'll use this next time. This wasn't the best episode, but we're going to use that. They've already said that Kill the Moon was originally a Matt Smith episode. Yeah. They weren't writing for this particular doctor, and he had
Never do when they first started Doctor.
Yeah, that's true.
There's always to get to it to this point, but to find out from Series 9 what he really was and how well Capaldi could pull it off and how well everything could have been written for him if they do. And I get it, but I think that was one of the downfalls to Series 8 when his premiere came out. I mean, he is a brilliant actor. I think they kind of were working too much on Clara. Clara, I think, should have left either right after Series 8 or even sooner. I think he should have had a new companion. And I think Nardole is the best companion that he's had so far. He's not had many, but Nardole really bounces off of him.
If I might step in for just a second.
Sure, yeah.
I want to contradict everything you guys just said.
That's what you're here for, Charles.
Oh, bring it on. Let's do this.
Almost everything you guys said.
Bring it on.
First of all, some of my favorite Capaldi episodes are in Series 8. I had a blast at the cinema screening of Deep Breath. I enjoyed it a great deal. Time Heist is still one of my favorite Capaldi episodes. Mummy on the Orient Express was perfect Doctor Who. And, yes, some of the other stories, not so much. Okay. But in point of fact, I just wanted to mention this. In point of fact, the UK ratings, in terms of numbers of viewers, was pretty consistent after the first episode. It was pretty consistent, averaging around 7 million. And it was, in fact, Series 9 where the ratings started to slump. Particularly with the episode that I consider one of the worst in the entire history of the show, Sleep No More. That was the lowest rated one.
It was beautiful, if you take it as a Twilight Zone episode.
I could take it as a Twilight Zone stuff, but if it's still crap, it's crap.
I heard something about a sequel.
Ugh. And I love Mark Gatiss, don't get me wrong. Some of his scripts have been terrific. Not that one.
The premise that the idea of having this kind of like Blair Witch idea of we're seeing one angle of everything, I thought was a brilliant idea to pull off, because it wouldn't be great you're not seeing from anybody's perspective but this camera, and you're hearing screams or shots being fired or a monster yelling, but you don't know what's going on, so your imagination's taking over. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Sure.
In the end, when every piece of sand became a camera, I'm like, why did you write this episode?
And making a monster out of the crust in your eye.
Yeah.
That's a Stephen King reject. I'm sorry.
All right, Charles, let's go down the line. Deep Breath, I did like. I did like the opening story of Peter Capaldi. Into the Dalek, yuck. Robot of Sherwood,
I didn't hate it, but it was less than successful. I hated
Robot of Sherwood. I hated. Listen, I'm sorry to say, I'm one of the ones who hated that episode. I don't like what it gave Clara, the fact that she's the one who caused the Doctor to go on journeys by scaring him, and we never found out. There was no ending. Time Heist, I did like Time Heist because of the Ocean's 11 feel of it. Mm-hmm. The Caretaker was actually good and an interesting setup for class with the
Coal Hill School and all that, yeah.
Kill the Moon, you can just throw out the window. But from Mummy on the Orient Express, I did think that's when the writing started to get better. Except for In the Forest of the Night, which I kind of liked it because it was a fairy tale, but for no other reason. But yes, the second half of Series 8 I did like. But the people who gave up after Deep Breath and Into the Dalek needed to come in on The Magician's Apprentice to grab on and love it.
You're skipping Last Christmas, which, by the way, was great.
Last Christmas 2, I guess that would be considered Series 9. So yes, Last Christmas is a good place to come in too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to tell people, hey, come in at the last 2 episodes of Series 8 and then watch. I wanted to give them an actual starting point.
I get that.
But Series 8 should have been a companion reboot. It shouldn't have been just Claire. I think we should have lost Claire somewhere at the end of episode 1 or 2. We should have seen a new companion through their eyes of seeing a new doctor. And how this doctor was not the same lovable David Tennant. It wasn't the same lovable Matt Smith, although it did have the temper tantrum. Where was this doctor going? Because now we have a whole new set of regenerations. Yeah. So we're open to the subject that, what did the Time Lords could have done to him? And we're still right now sitting on the Valyard's timeline where he's supposed to show up. So could number 13 be an impression of the Valyard? I know that's not it, but I mean, there's so many facets that we could have gone to. There's so much potential that Moffat just cleans up so fast. The story of River Song, when he went after River after Good Man Goes to War, he had 2 or 3 series that he could have had where the Doctor could have been chasing River and raised the stakes higher and higher and higher and made it into a whole series, just him trying to give up. I thought he had so much potential in that, and he cleaned it up in 1 episode. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's no stakes to that. I mean, that Let's Kill Hitler could have been the end result. Or at least he could have been chasing the previous River Song around and going like, well, this is not the right River Song. There's so much potential that everything that Stephen Moffat has that he can write out, especially looking for Gallifrey. Mm-hmm. I see that 2 or 3 series with Missy taunting him. Oh, Gallifrey's here. Oh, Gallifrey's here. And he's chasing Missy around to see if she, she slips up. And
you're turning Doctor Who into a Roadrunner cartoon there. Oh, no, he's over here. No, he's over there.
He was going to start a new chapter. It was going to be a new thing. And the new thing was the search for Gallifrey. And we found Gallifrey in 2 seconds.
Right.
The episode Listen had me all the way to the point that the TARDIS materialized on Gallifrey. I was like, oh, well, there it is. Oh, that was dumb. And you notice they haven't referred to it ever since. So they're kind of like,
If Moffat left any plot holes, I mean, Series 8 was a cavern of plot holes and just loose ends. And he just seems to just resolve things too easily. When there's so much potential that he could stretch out a series. He could make something into a series. We could be talking about Series 15 right now, and the Doctor could be still looking for Gallifrey.
Yeah.
And the stakes could even be higher. And Missy could be screwing him around and stuff like that. And she could bring back a Time Lord, at random and go, oh, by the way, here's one Time Lord here. I mean, she could have really messed with him trying to find Gallifrey. But no, we found it in a second. And by the way, I guess the Time Lords are brilliant. So that's how it came back. Yeah. Or maybe, hopefully in this series, we'll find out how they got back. But he just leaves so many things open, and it gets to being sloppy writing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. With regards to Clara, I liked that she was around for the beginning of the Capaldi period, but I agree that she should have left at some point, particularly once the Danny Pink storyline started, because although I really did like that character a great deal, I liked the actor even more.
Samuel Anderson. Yeah, good actor.
Lovely, lovely man. But it sort of descended the show into kind of a soap opera, which I never do like, even if the characters are terrific. See David Tennant era. Anyway, but I'm like, okay, we're going to have a romance on Doctor Who. Okay, I'm going to sit down and enjoy this. And then they just blow through it so fast that his eventual demise, well, sort of demise, and this is another issue, his exit from the show meant nothing emotionally, because they just, here's this guy, he's her boyfriend, and now he's gone.
Well, not only that, but tell me at one point, I really would love to ask this question. She goes, I love you, and I'm like, why? I didn't see it anywhere in the series.
We don't see it. Obviously, a lot of time, I mean, this is a plague on a lot of television, not just Doctor Who, but the off-screen time is referred to in the most oblique possible way, that a lot of time has elapsed, but we don't see it, so we're not invested.
No, right. I see your point, but the same could be said with Torchwood. And I saw a great relationship between Ianto and Jack.
Right.
Even within this short amount of time that you see their relationship. I didn't see any of that between Clara and Danny. And those should have been the scenes that should have populated to show how strong their love was. But I didn't see that anywhere.
But
except
as for
maybe
why...
in the Christmas episode.
But as for why Clara was kept around for so long, I'm pretty sure I know the reason why. When you get an actress of that caliber, you hang on to them. And unfortunately, I think she was ill-served by her storylines, but she's just a terrific actress, as she has subsequently proven.
Charles, from her appearances on Doctor Who, I couldn't tell she was a good actress. From Victoria, I found she is an amazing actress, and that's where she's going to get her star power. She's going to become a major star because of Victoria, not Doctor Who. You're right. She had no real thing to do in Doctor Who that would give her acting a showcase.
But Mark, that's how I knew she was a great actress on Doctor Who. Some of the things that she had to say, any lesser actress would have just cracked up on screen. What? So that's how I knew.
Oh my God, I've seen all 8 episodes, and
yeah,
wow. I can't wait for season 2.
There's no question that Jenna is a great actress. There's not even a doubt. I think she was on there too long. She was given bad stuff to say.
Yeah.
And the character had just run her course. She was a great spar for Matt Smith's Doctor. Mm-hmm. Those two worked very well. When it got to be Capaldi should have had a new companion right off the cuff.
Well, at least by series 9, yeah.
Yeah, after the regeneration and getting it, at some point she might have just said, you know what, I gotta go. I gotta go. But I know that Deep Breath was supposed to be Moffat's little thing on fangirls who were saying, oh, he's old, I gotta leave. He's not the boyfriend anymore. And I truly think that it was Moffat telling the fangirls off in a nice way.
Let me jump ahead to Series 9 and when she did actually leave. The 2-part finale, 3-part finale really, Face the Raven being a part of that. Face the Raven I thought was a great exit. And then they undid it in Hellbent. Now, I love Rachel Talalay, and I thought she directed the heck out of those 2 stories.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
But that ridiculous. Marvel Comics would have laughed at that resurrection.
Well,
and that's really saying. That ridiculous resurrection, and then she goes off in a TARDIS with Lady Me. I was so angry.
Yeah, but eventually she has to go back to that point in time where the Raven did go through her, and she
and we'll never, ever, ever, ever.
We'll never see that.
I want to say that all of the, unlike any other Doctor I can think of who's had Christmas specials, all of the Peter Capaldi Christmas specials are really quite good.
Oh, yeah.
I really enjoyed them all. Last Christmas was great, Husbands of River Song, and then we had to wait a year, and then we get, sorry, I'm a little bitter, and then we get the Return of Dr. Mysterio, which some people thought wasn't serious enough, and I'm like, it's Christmas! So, yeah, I loved it.
Charles, you bring up the point of the waiting, and we had a year, no Doctor Who. And if you remember in the classic series, we had the quote-unquote hiatus, when Colin Baker, the whole incident. But do you remember, and you may not, that when Tom Baker left the show and Peter Davison at the end of Legopolis, there was an 18-month gap before Castrovalva Part 1.
I hate to correct you, because it's your show, but I got to correct you.
First of all, it's his show, that's why we correct him.
I'm just going by Space Helmet for a cow.
All right. But the last Tom Baker story, which was Legopolis, finished airing on the 21st of, the last episode was 21st of March, 1981. On the 4th of January, 1982, Castrovalva episode 1. So, that is not 18 months.
This is the second week in a row that Mark Who 42 has been corrected.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It makes me human.
That he thinks. We're not going back the past 5 years. The show's been on.
And actually, can I stop here? Earl Green, who was on last week, was the one who corrected me for the first time. And he has a little something he wanted to say about Peter leaving. And I want to play that for you now.
Guys, thanks once again for having me back again so soon. As you can probably imagine, I am just a little bit bummed about Peter Capaldi making his way toward the exit. I know that we have a whole season of adventures left with him, so it's kind of hard to be too bummed out about it. And yet at the same time, I am a little bit bummed. He's been the Doctor since the end of 2013, And we really, in that time, only effectively got 3 seasons out of him. Which, that's not his fault. That's the BBC doing what the BBC does. And sometimes it's kind of difficult for those of us in the American viewing audience to really get our heads around this idea that a show will just happily take a year or 2 off before coming back, or maybe closer to a decade or 2 in the case of something like Red Dwarf, and it'll still come back. Of course, we're kind of starting to see this now on this side of the pond because we have things like Will and Grace and the X-Files coming back. Oh yeah, this is our new season. It's just been a decade since the last season. Nothing to it. I loved what Peter Capaldi brought to the role of the Doctor. He took what had the potential to be a funny one-off in Day of the Doctor, because you had John Hurt berating Tennant and Smith for behaving so youthfully when they were anything but, that technically they were older than him. But where Day of the Doctor made that sort of a funny one-liner, Capaldi's era made it a conversation with the audience. What are you expecting from the Doctor? Are you expecting catchphrases and youthful sex appeal? Or are you expecting someone who is, quite honestly, showing his age just a little bit? Showing just a tiny, infinitesimal fraction of his age. After all, after Heaven Sent, I don't think we can even really put a proper number on the Doctor's age anymore, depending on how you interpret that story. I also understand there's more than one way to read it. That being said, Doctor Who is about to do what it does so well, what it is uniquely constructed to do. It's about to replace its star with a minimum of trouble. I just hope that Capaldi leaves something of a legacy in the minds of the BBC and in the minds of future showrunners, perhaps even showrunners who are at this point still just now beginning their journey through the world of television, that the Doctor does not have to be 20-something years old. He doesn't have to be 30-something years old. It is okay for the Doctor to occasionally show his age. On the publishing end of things, this presents a unique problem. VWORP 3 was always going to start with Deep Breath, and I figured it would probably get us up to, about halfway through the Capaldi era. And that simply didn't happen before he announced his exit. I think, in the interest of making it just sort of the cleanest cutoff possible, VWORP 3 is now going to become VWORP 3 the Capaldi years, and it will not be published until January of 2018. Now, what this means as far as other projects is that the British Telefantasy book will probably slide forward in the schedule, either landing in late 2017 where VWORP 3 would have landed, or landing earlier in 2018 than it was already going to, because I always had it pegged as something that would be published next year. So, we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you, Earl, very much for that. And good luck on your book sales. I can't wait to read VWORP 3, the Capaldi years.
He is a marvel.
Yeah, he is. All right, back to us. Zion,
Yeah.
You've been quiet.
We're still here.
Talk about Peter.
I want to know how y'all feel about this. How do y'all feel about him being underappreciated, or in terms underrated? Because I don't know about how y'all talk to fans, but for me, 90% of the people that I talk to that are Doctor Who fans are under the age of 25, right?
Mm-hmm.
And every single one of them, I have not found one, said that they like Capaldi. They've watched Series 8, Series 9, caught up and everything. They still don't like Capaldi. And I ask why. And it always comes down to the same factor, that it's not Matt Smith or David Tennant. My thing is this. Excluding David Tennant, I would make a good argument that Peter Capaldi is the better actor out of the bunch that we got so far. But that's not the point. The point is that when we saw, I just feel like we got too little, it's too early for him to leave. Because, we got to see the Zygon inversion speech, the stuff when he told off me and Face the Raven.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you could see him coming actually into the role, right? So it depends on this series. This series is either he's going to be the Doctor that everyone wanted to be kicked out, because through this entire thing, everyone's been asking the same question. Who's going to replace him? Who's going to replace him? Who's going to replace him, right?
And they've been asking that since he first came on as the Doctor.
Exactly.
Now there are bookies taking bets.
Yeah.
I think, in all honesty, to answer your question, first of all, I think he was dealt a bad hand from the very beginning.
An uneven hand, I'd say.
An uneven hand, or just he was just, the fangirl. What I think about the new reboot from going back to Eccleston, and I hate to be this bluntly honest, but I'd say the girls who were looking for eye candy left.
Yeah, sure.
Capaldi brought back what I wanted to see in my Doctor. Mm-hmm. Capaldi brought it back, and not necessarily because he's older, but because we saw the first Doctor almost impressed in him.
Oh yeah. We saw the fourth Doctor.
You saw the fourth Doctor. You saw, in some cases, the third Doctor. You saw a lot of the second.
Of course,
Doctor.
he's been a fan since I don't know how long.
Childhood.
So I mean, since the '60s. So,
yeah.
In my opinion, I thought he was brilliant because I've been a Doctor Who fan since the local PBS station here in Georgia was showing Tom Baker episodes in the '80s. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen Troughton. I've been getting the William Hartnell episodes on DVD slowly but surely. I'm enjoying those stories. So it's like, for an old school Doctor Who fan, Capaldi was great. And that's not Matt Smith was great, David Tennant was great, Christopher Eccleston was great, but Capaldi was kind of like a throwback to those days of Doctor Who that I used to watch when I was way younger. I enjoyed him, but like I said, he's a great actor, but a lot of the stories he was given was not up to par and may have worked with someone else as a Doctor, but as Peter Capaldi as a Doctor, it wasn't up to snuff. That was my opinion.
I do agree.
But as his Doctor, he appeased the classic series.
Yeah.
Us. Because that's what we grew up with. That's what we know Doctor Who as. Now we have this double-digit gap to 2005, and this is what the new generation sees. They see Eccleston, they see David, and then they see Eccleston having it out, having fun with Rose, and we're seeing a new evolution of the Doctor. Now here is Capaldi's Doctor, who is embodiment of the classic, brought it into the new. So he appeased me because that was the Doctor I was waiting for to show up. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the first three guys. They did a brilliant job, and they embodied a lot of what the classic Who is. But I think Capaldi, if somebody says, well, what do you think who embodies classic Who the best, it's going to be Capaldi for me, always.
Yeah.
Well, he certainly quickly rose up the ranks to become one of my absolute all-time favorites, although I hate to pick favorites because it's like picking your favorite kid. But I think that you guys have hit the nail on the head here. Capaldi was the Doctor for people who remember the original series or who watched the original series, particularly if you grew up with it, the classic series. Then Capaldi, by different turns, could be the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth Doctors, sometimes even the sixth, with aplomb. And so, yeah, he was sort of an embodiment of the classic series. These younger fans, and I got nothing against them, but they came in on Eccleston or Tennant, most of them. And so they have a completely different perspective on the show. Even if they have gone back and seen some classic episodes, that's ancient history. What they think of as contemporary is a Doctor that is aging backwards. Getting younger and younger and younger. Oops, wait. John Hurt shows up and then, oh, wait. Peter Capaldi, who's not actually that old, you guys.
He's not.
He's in his 50s.
He's barely older than I am.
Yeah.
And probably you, Charles.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Doctor should never be older than me. That's a bad thing. Sorry, should never be younger than me. That's a bad thing. When Matt Smith came on, I was won over very quickly to him. But when he first came on, I was like, does this kid even shave? What's going on? So, yeah, how can a 26-year-old convincingly play a Time Lord? But I learned different, I think Capaldi will be remembered for especially among those who have, who lived the classic series. I think he will always be remembered as a classic Doctor. He's certainly in my top three. Absolutely. And I thought for sure Matt Smith was going to be in my top three, but he got edged out by Capaldi. I love them all. To varying degrees, I love them all. And I wouldn't trade a single one of them, ever. But the next guy, and my cohort on Space Javelin, Mike, and I were talking about this. We both agree that it probably will be a guy. There's a lot of talk about a woman taking the role, and there are many actresses that I can rattle off that I think would be great. So I got nothing against the idea, but I think they I think you're right. I think they're going to try and pull the younger audience back in with and I think this is very misguided, but they're going to try and pull the younger audience back in with a younger person, probably a ginger.
Chibnall is going to bring Dame Judi Dench as the doctor and Jeffrey Palmer as the companion, and we're going to have fun and excitement just as time goes by.
No, those are old people. You can't. Nope, you can't.
But it fits as time goes by. Time travel, Doctor Who. It's perfect. It's a perfect fit.
I think this is also the time where we could really look at, because there are a number of great actors and actresses who could do it. But I think we might finally be looking at an actor played by a non-white person, and that to me would be terrific too.
It would be. We know the general.
Yeah.
When he changed to a woman, he changed into a non-white woman. So definitely it's something that Time Lords can do. So why not? It is about time. We had a black president. Why can't we have a black doctor?
Yeah, believe me, I think he could dismiss that with one line. He gets up from the regeneration and goes, more melanin this time. Well. And boom, that's the end of it.
We've been talking about Clara. We've been talking about Peter leaving. But, Pearl Mackie playing Bill, she hasn't even started yet. And basically, if the show is going to be revamped with a new showrunner and the main star is leaving, she's probably been given her papers too, and we haven't even...
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. The companion often serves as an important between doctors, so I'm not going to rule that out at all. No.
But it is a separate showrunner, so he may want to bring in his own companion, just like Stephen Moffat did.
Wait a minute, how do we know this is not a Chibnall companion? Even though it's Stephen Moffat, he could have had say on what he wanted.
It could be.
Well, she is going to be in the season, so...
Well, as far as whether or not Bill would be in the next season with the new Doctor...
Should she be? Should
she should be. No. She should be. I think she should be.
Yeah, because the audience will be used to her by then and probably love her, because Pearl Mackie's great.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, we haven't...
We're definitely in the we'll love her category already. For what you've seen, you've already...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we at Mark Who 42, in that promo that they did with the Daleks, where they're being chased by the Daleks, she was too snarky for her own good.
Oh, no. The reason I like her so much, first of all, Pearl Mackie, I've seen her in other things, and she's great.
Okay.
The second thing about her is that she is me as a companion.
Is she?
She likes 80s stuff, and she won't shut up.
Yeah, well,
that is
that's
so me.
Charles, I didn't think I wanted you as a companion, though. I wasn't sure.
I mean, we've only seen that preview with the Daleks, and we've seen the trailer for the new season, so we haven't really got the full gist of the character yet. I mean, of course, she talks a lot and she's kind of snarky, but that may work.
Yeah,
especially with Capaldi as the Doctor, I think that's a good foil and a lot of nose pinching on his part every time she says or does something.
I agree. And remember, we've had this before: a Doctor who tries to take himself terribly seriously, and a companion, Donna Noble, who wouldn't let him. Mm-hmm. And that worked out beautifully.
Right.
I think this is that all over again, although hopefully it has a happier ending.
Yeah, please.
I admit it could and probably will work with Capaldi, but if you get a younger Doctor in there, I don't think that's going to work. I don't think Clara worked once Capaldi came in, because they weren't meant for each other when they created the character.
I was very, very happy to see the end of Doctor Who, The Love Story. So that was fine with me.
But at least it was chemistry. I don't think there was chemistry between Clara and Capaldi. I
think there was. I think it was just. I didn't have a problem with that. I just felt like they gave Stephen Moffat. I'm going to put the blame on him for this one, but he decided that Clara was the most important thing in the show, and was the most important thing in the entire history of Doctor Who. That's why he kept planting her across the entire landscape.
I know.
That ill-served the character. Really ill-served the character.
Claire Pine just got too annoying. I mean, it was just, not only did I not see any chemistry, but I started to hate her because she was being pushed as being better than the Doctor. And that's something I can't accept. You have an eternal God riding around in through time and space, and this little girl from Earth can, verbally whip his butt. Now, for me, it worked with Donna better than it did with Clara. Clara was just pushing.
Donna's got that right attitude, and also with her and Tennant together, I mean, it was perfect.
Right.
It kind of reminded me, if you want to go old school, Tom Baker and the few of the companions he had. I thought him and Sarah Jane were great together. Both Romanas and Leela, they were all great. With Tom
and
Baker.
Of course, David Tennant and Catherine have known each other for years and years.
Yeah.
So the chemistry was already there.
Go back even further, John Pertwee and Katie Manning. Third Doctor and Joe Grant. They were great.
But
so
they knew where to pull their punches because Joe Grant was committed to the Doctor the whole way through. She saw him as kind of like the father figure, and she knew when to challenge Dad, just like a younger generation would. But at some point, she still respected as Dad. I didn't see that respect coming from Clara. In fact, the line for me was crossed, and even though I liked the line, was when she said, "I'll slap you so hard you'll regenerate." I mean, that to me was like.
Yeah, it's a good line.
You just told the Doctor this? I'm like,
I hate to sound like a Moffat basher because I really am not. I do, I thought he did about as good a job as any producer has done. Because to be quite honest, if you go back and really honestly look at all the past seasons of Doctor Who, you will find it is littered with crap stories. It's littered with brilliant stories, but it's also littered with crap stories. And so it's unfair to go, Moffat sucks. But the two things that he did that I really violently disagree with. One is that he treated Doctor Who as a part-time project. To be fair, the shows he produced alongside it were terrific, but it's not a part-time job. And then the second thing is he made the companions into part-time people. They weren't full-time residents of the TARDIS.
Commuter companions.
Yeah. They would have a life outside the TARDIS. That's nuts. You've been invited to tour the universe with somebody. You don't go, but what about Thursday? Sorry, no.
Guys, just because I want to get to the India Fisher interview, I want to know if there are any last things you want to say about Capaldi leaving. Let's start with Gary.
Well, it's I'm kind of used to the Doctor's regenerating anyway, but it's going to be kind of sad to see him go. But I'm also looking forward to the new guys. Well, whoever he or she may be, it's just part of the never-ending, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly of life with the Time Lord.
Death and rebirth, yeah.
Charles?
I thought he was utterly tremendous in the role. It was, they deliberately made him kind of slow to warm up, which was the same mistake they made in the Colin Baker era, and it had the same effect. But don't do that anymore. But he was tremendous, and this one feels like more of a punch in the gut than almost any Doctor leaving I can think of. Because Capaldi, I thought, needed to do 4 seasons, at least. I wanted him to tie Pertwee's record of 5 seasons. But the problem, and, he was, in fact, at the end of his next series, he will have been the Doctor for 4 years. The reason we only got 3 series is because lack of focus, Moffat. So I know I keep coming back to that, but I think we wasted a huge talent there. But I know it was a part that he loved, and I know that, like Matt Smith, if he ever gets asked to return, he will. So I take some comfort in that. And there is always this period of, I liked him, I'm going to hate the new person. And then the new person comes in, and usually it takes 1 to 3 stories before I'm like, who was the previous Doctor? I don't even remember.
Hey, him leaving the show doesn't mean, he's leaving Doctor Who. Who knows? He may show up on Big Finish.
Well,
I'm sure he'd do it.
Please. Stole my thunder.
No.
From your mouth
I
to
know
Jason
that
Hale
he's interested. Nick said he's interested. So,
well, of course.
Nick Briggs, yeah. Zion.
I'm going to agree with the complete waste of potential part, and I just find it unfair that 90% of whoever's coming next is probably going to be seen as the fans as, okay, at least this is better than the guy before.
Yeah, I'll be very upset if they I know they will, but that's why us older fans are still around, to smack you kids.
That's right. That's why we're around.
Just kidding. Love you guys.
Well, first and foremost, if he's being pushed out, I'm going to be very disappointed. If this is a push out, not him saying, it's time to go. I think he had so much charisma, so much love, and he was a prior fan, and that's very rare. That's why I think Doctor Who came back, because it was brought by its fandom when it grew up. It had a love for it, and they were going to do everything to make sure that Doctor Who not only came back, but as RTD said, it was going to stay forever. There will be no more Wilderness Years. So bringing back a fan who loved the series, who understood it and brought it to the show, I'm hoping he's not being pushed out. Like I said, I'll be very disappointed. On that note, I think I understand why I'm disappointed, because I really think that it's a decision not based upon the heart of, like most shows, Voyager and things like that. They forget about the heart of what the show is all about, and they try to go and appease the audience. And I understand that, because one of the things, as far as RTD and Moffat are concerned, we can sit here and ridicule them, bash them, put them to the sword. But I have to sit there and go, thank you. Thank you so much for bringing it back. Thank you for giving its longevity. Thank you for trying your best to not only bring back my childhood, but to impress it into other childhoods so they can understand, appreciate, and love what I grew up with. Because back when I was growing up, I couldn't walk around with a fez and a sonic screwdriver. I was shunned. And I've mentioned that before. Nobody understood Doctor Who. It was a joke. It was a running gag. Oh, Doctor Who? What's that over there? I couldn't even cosplay it around.
Is that the one with the Daleks?
That's one of the Daleks? Yeah, exactly. But to see the children dressing up. I go to Disney, I go to Publix, I go to the shopping mall, and they're walking around openly about it. And for once, my childhood gets to say, you know what? This is what I've been waiting for. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. But I'm hoping that it doesn't lose its way to appease a newer audience. I'm hoping that the newer audience will appreciate what came before and enjoy it the way it should be. Yes, we're not going to bring back everything, all the monsters from the 70s that were made from Office Depot catalogs. So, the bubble wrap and the green stuff, that's all gone forever. But the love and the appreciation that we had for the story, for the Doctor, for everything, for going outside of the box, I'm hoping this new generation doesn't lose sight of that, because they got spoiled with Doctor Who's Love Doctor from David Tennant's. They got spoiled with the War Doctor, who was war-torn, war-bent, but didn't get to see the first 8, or if you want to add in the War Doctor, the first 9, that set the standards and the goals. Remember, RTD could have rebooted the whole thing. We could have seen a new Doctor. But no, he endured the love of the first 8 and brought it to the new generation. And that made me happy that he didn't restart it, that my generation gets to be appreciated by the newer one. And that's my concern about that. As far as a female Doctor, I have my pick, but I agree with Patty, who unfortunately is not on this episode, but we had a discussion about it. If you're going to do a change from the typical, stereotypical Doctor, don't make it part of the story. It should just run on as if nothing had happened. You could probably make a few tweaks and jokes in there, but don't make it become that. Make it be flawless and seamless from beginning to end. And I know the first female Doctor is going to have a lot to set the standards for. And my worry is that there will be an appeal. The ratings will go up for the first female Doctor. And then probably by the 4th episode, that novelty will fall off. And then the people who didn't really want to change, the people who just came in to see the first female Doctor will leave. And the people who didn't want to change, they'll leave. If you're going to do it, make sure it's seamless and flawless so that that person will feel as part of the mythos as William Hartnell did when he all started it.
I want to say one thing about the female portion of the audience. We did lose some when David Tennant left. There's no question about that. But I want to, as a guy who goes to all the big American Doctor Who conventions, I can assure you that not only are there still plenty of women in Doctor Who fandom, and let me add, they have invigorated it with completely new life and are just generally awesome. But, I don't think any of them are too worried about what the gender of the next Doctor is going to be. They have plenty of characters in Doctor Who right now that they can look up to. There's, every convention I go to, there's at least 24 Osgoods. The head of unit is a woman. The there's plenty of companions, and when there aren't female companions that they like, they'll just dress up as one of the male companions. They're fine. and like I said, kind of awesome.
I just want to end this by saying that we will miss Peter Capaldi.
Very much.
I think of Peter as my favorite Doctor of the new series right now. Tom, of course, will always be my favorite Doctor, Tom Baker, but Peter is definitely my favorite. And to address the...
Wait a minute, you just said Tom is your favorite.
No, Tom is my favorite overall, but my new series favorite is Peter. You can have two categories. Yeah. There are actually three categories, and Tom would be my favorite classic. But anyway, what I wanted to say, addressing the thing about Moffat bashing, you guys do realize that when Chibnall, or as Patty calls it, #chinballs, when Chibnall becomes the showrunner, everybody who was bashing Moffat is going to start going, we liked Moffat, and they're going to start bashing Chris. It's just the way it works.
They'll give him a season or so, but yeah, this is the fate of every Doctor Who producer through time immemorial.
John Nathan Turner, especially. Everyone totally went on him, and if you want to know the reasons for that, go back to an old previous episode we did where we talked about John Nathan Turner in depth, with Charles, actually.
Yeah. Even the producers that fans now believe they loved all the time, like Philip Hinchcliffe, they got pulled, either by the BBC or by the ratings or by the fans. Mm-hmm. They all get pulled after a while. Everybody's like, oh, well, okay, now we've seen what you do. That's good. Let's move along. And the longer they stick around, the worse it gets for them. This is the mistake Moffat has made. The Doctor should have stayed for 5 seasons, and Moffat should have held on for 3.
Yeah.
And they're gone.
I agree with that. Well, I just want to say right now, I'd like to thank Charles Martin and Gary DaBaum for coming on the show, talking about Peter Capaldi and him leaving. Thank you, guys.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
And when we come back, we will have our Valentine's Day interview with India Fisher, who plays Charlotte Pollard. We'll be right back.
Wait, what about Zion? You didn't say anything.
Well, no, Zion's still on the show.
Liver?
No, Zion's a member of our show, so he doesn't get...
he doesn't get recognition.
We'll
it's okay, he didn't mention me either, so...
Yeah, no.
Zion
I am chopped liver.
So Zion and Christian are the minions. I got it.
They're
okay.
the minions. So,
that's terrible.
As of that note, we'll be right back here on Krypton Radio.
And I'd like to say right now, Mark Who 42 is proud to have 9.9 Comics as a sponsor for our show. 9.9 Comics, if you're out in Brevard County, this is one of the places to go and visit. They've just started recently, and they're located off of 1284 Sarno Road in the Melbourne area. They're starting out, but I met Matt and the team, and they are just really, really, as far as customer service is concerned, phenomenal. It's a really great store. They were telling me about a point system, Mark, and forgive me, I'm not familiar with it, but that's where the 9.9 comes from. When you go to a comic book store, some comics are just laying out there loose and for everybody to read and such like that. And every time somebody picks it up, it kind of depreciates over time. Not in this store. Every comic is protected. In fact, you can't even read the comics. They're all protected for your pleasure. So if you want to keep these comics for longevity and possibly later on try to sell them to make money off of them, they have every comic sealed up and protected. It's just phenomenal. Not only that, but one of the things I love about this comic shop is they sponsor the Candlelighters of Brevard. Now, these folks are a nonprofit organization that take care of children in the Brevard area who are suffering from cancer. So if you want more information on them, go to www.candlelightersofbrevard.org if you want more information about the charity that they sponsor, and definitely go on their Facebook site at 9.9 Comics. Can't miss it. Matt and the team are wonderful. Go visit them out there and tell them that Mark Who 42 sent you.
Coming May 19th through the 21st, Oasis 29 continues to celebrate excellence in science fiction and fantasy. Oasis 29 will take place at the Sheraton Orlando North Hotel, featuring special guest writer Faith Hunter. The best way to see Oasis 29 is with your 3-day weekend membership pass. Your pass will include full admission to all the art exhibits, dealer rooms, guest speakers, writing panels, and of course, a special appearance by your favorite Doctor Who podcast, Mark Who 42. A con suite for nourishment will be available on site. For more information, hotel rooms, and purchase for your tickets, including student discounts, go to www.oasfis.org/oasis. Oasis 29 is an event that promotes safe and fun environment for the entire family and upholds that cosplay is not consent. We look forward to seeing you there.
This is Paul McGann, the 8th Doctor, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome back to Mark Who 42, Doctor Who on Krypton Radio. I'm your host, Mark Baumgarten, and we've got Christian Basil, of course, with us.
Yes!
Yeah, there he is. And with this, of
that.
course, being our Valentine's Day show, we decided to bring out someone who epitomizes love and Doctor Who. We
the companion or her? Or
well,
both?
the companion, but her too, I'm assuming. It's India Fisher who plays Charlotte Pollard on Big Finish's Doctor Who. Hello, India.
Hello, that's quite an introduction. Hi.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you very much. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope you're having a very lovely Valentine's Day and lots of people have sent you nice things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get sent a lot of stuff, and some of it we can't talk about because this is a family show. But it's
there are court proceedings involved.
Yeah. Well, the restraining order is being rescinded.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
We really went there, didn't we?
We really went
Mark,
there.
You're not recording. Wait a minute, Mark. You're not recording this, are you? Because you didn't tell India I had a crush on her when she premiered on the episode.
Oh, stop it!
More fool you.
Oh, we're recording. I'm sorry. Never mind.
We are recording, Christian,
sorry,
so you've just given it away. I mean, Sophie was always my first, but India would be my second. So, yeah.
That's very kind. I love being second in
I'm sorry. No. I was
quite
Sophie
just
Aldred
not quite
was
making the grade. Just being a little bit worse than someone else.
Sophie Aldred was my girlfriend back in the day. So I've never actually had you as a girlfriend. So that's why you're in second place. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'll take
sorry,
that.
Charlie. You're a big finish rebound. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Fine.
It tastes good. All right. For those people who don't know who you are, and shame on you if you don't listen to Big Finish, folks, but can you tell us a little about yourself, your life, and who you are?
Me, rather than Charlie, yes.
You India.
Me, India, yeah, sorry, I'm so used to we morph into one.
You sound alike. It's weird.
Yeah, we do sound alike, pretty alike. My name is India Fisher. I live in London. I'm 42. I'm a Virgo.
42? That's perfect for the show.
Like DVDs and, long country walks. And I'm looking for love.
Long country walks? You do? But you live in the city. But you live in the city, but you like long country walks. Okay.
Oh, I know, but that's why I like long country walks. You don't get to do them enough. So we see, it's a novelty. If I lived in the country, long country walks would just be going to get a pint of milk. So,
yes.
I thought, India, are you giving us a description? Are you giving us a dating profile?
Yeah, well, it's Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. We're a matchmaking service here at Mark Who 42.
Yeah, great. So I'll just kill two birds with one stone. Yeah.
You're 42, so you're 70. You were born in 74.
1974, I know.
I was August 20th, 1974. So.
Oh, September the 10th. There you go. Actually, one of my best friends is August 20th. So there you go. It's good. Good birthday.
Wibbly wobbly.
Sorry, do you want me to tell you more about me?
Yeah, tell us more about. Definitely tell us more about yourself. Include your father, because he was an ex-MP, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He was MP for a place called Stoke-on-Trent, which is slap bang in the middle of England, and where a lot of your pottery used to come from, but probably not anymore. It probably comes from China now. But he was MP for Stoke from I was 7, and he stopped about 5 years ago. So long time. And I grew up in Stoke because he was MP for there. So it's a nice part of the world. But I was very glad when I was 14 to move to the bright lights and big city of London, really. But it was good. My dad, I'm proud of my dad. What else? I have 3 three. Well, I'm one of four siblings, so I have two brothers and one sister. I now have a little boy who's 3 years old. So actually, I'm not really looking for love. Sorry, I am fully partnered up.
Well, you know what? Yeah. That's good. That's good. Hopefully your husband has given you a very expensive Valentine's present.
Oh, it's not about the price.
I know it's not about the price, but in really it is. But it's not about
no. We're penniless actors. It's about it's not about material gifts. Otherwise,
I totally agree. I'm spending all my money on this show. I have no money to give my loved one any expensive present.
We kind of have a running joke in the States. If you're a penniless actor, you go like, "Oh, I got a gig. Well, I can get extra cheese on my Whopper meal."
Yes, exactly.
I can supersize that Coca-Cola drink on the way out. Yeah. Ooh, extra pickles? Put it on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
So I guess the big question is, how did you come across Big Finish? And we're later going to be talking about Charlotte Pollard or Charley Pollard, or however she wants, however.
Yeah, however she's feeling.
Feel at the time.
However you're feeling at the time. But how did you come across Big Finish? And I just want to let people know, in my heart, and because I'm going to be asking a question about Night of the Doctor. In my heart, there is a new, big cousin of Doctor Who. That's the best way I can put it. I don't want to say spin-off or anything like that, but there's this whole field of Charlotte Pollard, Bernice Summerfield. There's a whole genre out here that people are not really tapping into that just expands on the Doctor Who life. And it's wonderful, and let me get back to that question. First of all,
I agree with you. I think Big Finish have, done amazing things and continue to do amazing things, and they're just sort of getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and their output is extraordinary. So people that come up to me and say, "Oh yeah, I collect every Big Finish," I just think, wow, that's a lot of money you're spending out. It is that you can't. Once you've started. You could buy a car with the amount of money you're going to have to spend on the Big Finish stuff. But it's brilliant. I think their their sort of spin-off things are just superb. As you say, they enhance the world of Doctor Who and they take it to other levels. I think it's great.
But Charley is, first of all, for people who are not familiar with Charlotte Pollard, she is a companion of the Eighth Doctor in the Big Finish series, kind of taking place after the TV movie.
Yeah. Causes one of the several of the most biggest paradoxes in Doctor Who.
Yeah. She was always having. I always felt the sword of Damocles was hanging over her head because she had at some point this paradox was going to have to resolve itself, but as yet seemingly not. Yay!
No, but, it hasn't, has it? But you're still making. We'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So. I started as Paul McGann's, the Eighth Doctor's companion, and he saves Charley from the R101 air crash where she should have died. So that's the paradox that has been sort of set up, that he interfered and changed history. And they have many wonderful adventures together. And then she gets left on a planet, and then she hears a TARDIS dematerialize and thinks, "Oh, great!" And then it turns out that it's Colin Baker's Doctor, and so I have many adventures with Colin, which I adored. And then she wipes Colin's memory of her because she feels that she knows too much, and Colin doesn't. She feels she has to sort of save Colin from herself. Very magnanimous of her, and goes off traveling with the Virons, which is where the spin-off series starts off. God love Big Finish. I always think Charley is like, that'll be it. She's died many, many times, Charley, or seemingly not. And I always think, well, that's it now. And then they call me back up going, actually, we're thinking of doing this and we're thinking of doing that. So I love them.
I got to listen to, I've listened to all of your episodes, but I got to listen to the Charlotte Pollard audio, the Volume 1, and I thought you did a great job carrying a franchise part by yourself with the help of other actors and stuff. But,
with
it's yours.
Massive help of other actors, And that's very, very kind of you.
Yeah, and now in March, coming up real soon, because it's February, so it's
Yep,
next month.
2 weeks.
You have Volume 2 coming out.
I know. I must say I didn't expect Volume 1, and then Nick took an age to write Volume 2. He kept saying to me, I've got ideas. I know what I'm doing. I've got too much work on. I can't do it. And then finally we recorded it last September. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I'm afraid my 3-year-old son has just walked into the room.
We like having
Sorry.
We love having special guests. Hi.
Oh, what's his name?
It's special people talking from America now. But I will just hang on a second, and I'll just go and get his dad to deal with him. Sorry.
Okay.
Night. I'm really sorry.
That's quite all right. We love having special guests.
No, that's hilarious. Sorry, that's me not shutting the door to throw my in.
What's his name? What's your child's name?
Well, it's a Welsh name, so he's called Aneurin. After Aneurin, yeah. Okay. Actually, the spelling doesn't help. Aneurin, Aneurin, but Nye for short. And he's named after Nye Bevan, who was the MP that founded the National Health Service. So.
Okay. That's a great honor.
If he gets to listen, hi.
Big shoes to fill, poor little thing.
Well, if he gets to listen to this, hi, Anira. There you go. You get your shout out.
Yeah. Can I just say that's perfect pronunciation? Not many people can do that. Anyway, sorry, where were we?
No, that's fine. I got that Southern Florida accent that puts everything into perspective.
Yeah. No, we were talking that Nick Briggs wrote Volume 2, and then you took an age writing it, and then you recorded in September of last year.
I think it was September of last year, and it's sort of come out quite quickly. I was amazed how quickly they've sort of turned it around. But it was brilliant. Can I say it's worth the wait? It is fabulous, and Nick very definitely wanted to write it all and direct it, and because the first series he wanted to write as well, but then he realised that actually he was just going to do himself an injury if he tried to do everything.
Well, he's writing The Prisoner. Nick Briggs does so much. I mean, he can't stop working. He will never retire.
He's the busiest man in show business. Yeah, but he got the lovely Jonathan Barnes and Matt Fitton to write the first series in the end, and they were brilliant stories, and I loved those. But am I allowed to talk about the second series? Is this
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I won't do spoiler alerts, but it's a 4-parter, but they're each an episode in an ongoing story, rather than the first series. They were 4 separate stories, which was great because it sort of set up the Charley world, and as you say, it's sort of the difficulty of setting it up as an entity in its own right, and not just being sort of Doctor Who light or something like the Doctor Who without the Doctor, which doesn't really work. So setting her up as a lead character, which was quite scary for me. Right. I thought, no one's going to want to listen to what Charley's doing. But the response to the first series was amazing, and I think they're even talking about doing a third. But may be. I know, because I think they're really. Well, personally, I thought that the second series was just superb. Some amazing actors in it, and really good and interesting story. I probably can't. I don't know how much I can say about it, but it's set on Earth, and. There are these 2 identical men who are just sort of robotic and indestructible, and hell-bent on destroying Robert Buchan, who's played by James Joyce, and Charley, played by me. So it's really, really. It's really clever. I can't tell you why it's clever because that ruins the ending. But I think Nick's outdone himself. So, and again, an amazing cast. So I just didn't have to do much. I just let them all go.
We'll come back to Big Finish in a little while, but I wanted to talk to you. You are the voice of MasterChef, of all the incarnations of MasterChef. And I don't know if our American viewers, well, I do know they know it because it's on Fox here, an American version of it, so not with you. But you've been doing the narration for MasterChef. How did you get that gig, and are you enjoying it?
Oh, well, I absolutely love MasterChef. I'm quite a foodie, so it's very nice that my job is also my hobby. And I think we're recording series 13 now, so I've been doing it for almost as long as I've been doing Big Finish. I always joke that I don't have many jobs, but they're very long, and the longevity of my jobs is a saving grace. So I do the narration for what we call the amateurs, so sort of just MasterChef and then Celebrity MasterChef as well. And I love it. It's great. You get to watch these people making amazing food. But it is now all across the world. I think it's in sort of, 44 countries or something ridiculous. And of course, they always have their own people. But
in America, we've got one of the Master Chefs is Gordon Ramsay.
Oh, yes.
Because Gordon Ramsay is doing, like, everything. Gordon Ramsay has, like, 7 shows on Fox.
Really? He doesn't feel saturation as a problem, then? Really?
No, it doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem
that way.
No
one's telling him less is more, Gordon. You don't want to, like, overwork your public. But, obviously not, no. It's a phenomenon. I mean, it's amazing. But I think it works it obviously works as a franchise, but I think it works as a reality TV show because you get involved with the people, you get involved with delicious food, you can sit there with your terrible meal on your knee thinking, if only I could eat, watch that and cook that. And I really enjoy doing it, and long may it continue, please. That would be great.
So going back to Doctor Who, and there's always been that question whether Big Finish is part of the natural canon of Doctor Who. Then the Night of the Doctor appears, and Paul reads off that list of companions. Charley shows up. Yeah. So how did that make you feel that now that there's an inclining hint of Charley in the new series?
I think I was really, really touched by that. But I remember when Russell T Davies sort of took over and was sort of bringing the series back, he wrote me a really lovely email saying I couldn't have done Rose without without Charley. If Charley hadn't happened as a companion, then Rose is a natural continuation from her. And I thought that was really, really nice of him to say. And but yes, I always had difficulty at conventions and things when people would bring up their sort of books that were companion books, and of course I wasn't in it, and they go, can you sign this please? And I'd think, well, no, I'm not a real companion. And Nick used to get very annoyed with me for saying I'm not a real companion. He was like, will you stop it?
You are a real companion.
But people would say, you are. I want you to sign the book. And that was really lovely. But yes, I had a lot of texts from friends going, you're canon now. Charley's canon. You've got mentioned. And I was like, oh, well, I'm very, very glad. It's good. I think Big Finish deserves to be recognised for what they've done. And that bridging that they did when, before the TV series returned, when they're in the sort of hinterland of no Doctor Who, they were... it was Paul and myself and so the 8th Doctor and Charley were new Doctor Who. So it was, I think they gave the fans a very important sort of, bridging to the new series. And they deserve the recognition, Big Finish. They do a lot.
It got its due out there, and I'm really happy about that. And I think Charley is an integral part of the 8th Doctor's life. And I think when we go into the future with the Night of the Doctor, and to me, you couldn't, like he said, you couldn't have all these stories without Charley somehow being involved. And I think Big Finish geared to what the new series was going to be. And without Big Finish, they were always talking about rebooting the series or anything like that. But luckily for us, Russell T Davies picked it up and said, we're going to keep going. And Steve Moffat now goes back and says, what, Big Finish is a part of this too. So to me as a fan of Big Finish, I'm really glad that at least, I would love to see, and I'm sure I think you agree, I would love to see Charley in a new series somehow.
I think I work best on radio. I've got a perfect face for radio.
You know what? You do have. I mean, you are lovely, but you do have a beautiful voice. Now, I heard you in something, and this was a long time ago. It was around the time in the early 2000s on the BBC website. They had Death Comes to Time, the Doctor Who thing, and they had Real Time with Colin Baker. But then they were doing other little animation things, and they did something called Ghosts of Albion.
Albion, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that with David Tennant? I seem to remember. Was that with David Tennant?
You know what? You might be right there. It's been a while since I've heard it. But can you tell us...
It's been a while since I did it.
Yeah. But can you tell us anything about Ghosts of Albion? And will it ever come back?
I don't think so. I think they might have done something with it by now. I mean, that was a long time ago, wasn't it? That's got to have been a good nearly... Gosh, it makes me feel very old. Yeah, about 17 years ago, probably. Do you know, I'm really sorry. I can't really remember it.
Okay,
all I do remember is I gave myself hideous food poisoning the night before recording it, and had been being really ill all night. And but that's the thing, if an actor, you can't phone in and go, I'm sorry, I'm not coming into work today. You know, the studio is and all I remember is David Tennant saying to me, what you really need to do is have a full fat Coke. And that's the best thing to sort out if you've been ill. And he was right; it was brilliant. I completely recovered. But
so the doctor prescribed you Coke, and you drank it. That's good.
Okay.
I find that ironic. Okay.
It does help, though. It really did.
Yeah.
Not that there are other, obviously, cola flavored drinks available on.
Gosh.
Everywhere around the world, there are cola-flavored drinks, and it's... I stick to diet soda myself, and it's probably worse than drinking it with sugar. But
Mark, I'm thinking about what India said about Charley, because she gave us a brief synopsis, and it's like, for people who've never delved into Big Finish, I don't know if that's a spoiler alert or not.
Well, no, it's not a spoiler. Yeah. She did.
No. Don't be apologetic. I was like, it's been around for quite some time. I mean, it's just like, well, if you haven't caught on, it's like catching a series, basically 5 or 10 years later, and then somebody telling you how it ends. But I was like, I don't know if that's...
But we haven't told you how it ends. She purposely didn't say that.
Yeah, hasn't ended. Charley's adventures haven't ended yet.
No, Charley's adventures haven't ended.
She does. There are lots of endings. She sort of moves from the 8th Doctor to the 6th to being on her own, and that she's luckily she doesn't end quite yet. I have done quite a few death scenes though.
Yeah, and now with the fact that you were on the R101 and he saved your life, and it caused a problem with the timelines. Gallifrey was brought in, and Romana and Zagreus, and it just...
Yeah, they weren't happy. They weren't happy with him.
No, they were not happy. And you guys got sent to an alternate universe, which had no concept of time.
Yes, brilliant for a Time Lord. Yep, yeah.
And you got Conrad Westman as a second.
The lovely Conrad Westman, yes, who is a great friend of mine.
He played Kriz. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Keriz. I never said his name right because I couldn't... Yeah, it's Keriz. Now, from what I understand, when they were doing that, the new series was about to come out, and they wanted to not have a long-running arc that would compete with the TV series. So they basically... You were supposed to be in that universe for at least another year or two in episodes. Yeah. What did you feel about that? That they cut your story off short?
Well, I've spoken to Gary about this, Gary Russell, so he won't mind me saying it, but I wasn't a massive fan of the Divergent universe, I have to say. I was very, very pleased that Keriz came into the companion sort of arena and there was the little sort of three of us, but a lot of fans were also not pleased with that. They wanted pure Charley and 8th Doctor. So poor Keriz got a bit sort of vilified as if he was a sort of third wheel. And I felt the Divergent universe didn't really work massively as when you're dealing with something that is inherently about time travel, to go somewhere that doesn't have time or a concept of time, and sort of it took it to another place, quite literally, and I feel it sort of slightly lost its way. So I wasn't too upset about us coming back again quite quickly, quicker than I think Gary intended. So yeah, I'm afraid so. I was quite pleased when we got back into the normal world and carried on.
Yeah. Christian actually liked the first story that you did in the Divergent Universe. Christian?
I'm hoping the audience isn't getting too confused. So if you don't mind, let's bring him up to speed just a little bit. Okay. For those who've not in the Big Finish. There was an episode in Charlie's time called Zagreus, which has 4 of the Doctors, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of previous people who've been the companions on Doctor Who. And essentially what ends up happening, I won't give too much away, but Charlie and the 8th Doctor end up in a alternate universe altogether where the rules don't apply. So you have to actually think that time does not work. So if cause and effect do not matter. And I got to hear the first episode, which was written by one of my favorite Doctor Who writers, Robert Sherman.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard people say on separate times, you either extremely like it or extremely hate it, and I extremely loved it.
Scherzo. That's the first episode.
Which was also, no one could pronounce that either. But yeah,
Scherzo was very easy to pronounce. We found that easy.
The lovely Rob Sherman wrote that on his honeymoon, which is, he wrote it as a thank you to Paul and I. So he wrote this sort of love story for the Doctor and Charlie on his honeymoon, which is quite an extraordinary thing. Oh. And his ever saintly wife accepted the fact that he was writing a Doctor Who episode on his honeymoon.
Hey, the job doesn't leave you.
Yeah. Never get away.
The job doesn't take a honeymoon or a vacation. So, but I love the reason why I kind of like the idea is that, first of all, it was a big and I have to explain it to people because being one of my favorite Big Finish episodes of all time, it's just you and Paul, and essentially you're essentially having to deal with a universe that doesn't make sense, that reality is just so twisted. And if you heard earlier, India mentioned that Charlie and the 8th Doctor do kind of merge. Don't think about it the way you would like to think about it, but there is some kind of merging.
There is merging going on. Yeah. They do merge.
And then I will mention this. This was kind of in Zagreus, Charlie does kind of mention her love for the Doctor, and the Doctor basically just, I don't want to say shunning her, but basically saying, you can't, this just can't be right. This won't work. And now they're ending up in a universe where all this has happened. Now the relationship is really taken to an exponential level because nothing makes sense anymore. And the only thing that is gearing the story is Charlie's love for the Doctor.
Yes, beautifully put. And I've always maintained that Charlie is she was a child when she sort of met the Doctor, and she's a sort of complete innocent. And so for her, I always felt love was sort of fatherly love, and like he's a mentor, and she's and also love as in she has no frame of reference as to what love is. She's never been in love, and so I think it was like, for me it wasn't sexual. It was absolutely sort of every type of platonic and also complete hero worship as well. So and her love for him does fuel the story of Scherzo, and yet it was an amazing experience to record it, because we did it live. So we stood in front of one another with like music stands with our scripts on the stands, and we started on page 1 and just performed it, which was amazing, because that's not how you work in like sort of radio plays, and you stop and you start and you record and you rehearse and then you record. So that was brilliant. It was like doing a play. It was
that's how we do it here. We just keep going.
Yeah.
We just saunter on and just move and pray that we don't sound too weird when we do the episode. I got to give warning to folks who do listen to Scherzo, if you get it, if you purchase it from us, please turn the volume down a little bit, because I was actually driving in my car and there were certain scenes that scared the hell out of me. I almost ran off the road.
Yes, sorry.
I was like, whoa!
I'm not responsible for any crashes earlier.
And I actually went to Rob and I said, Rob, you didn't tell me about these noises that were going to take place.
Yeah. Well, because they come out of nowhere as well, don't they? Because it's quite a minimalist soundscape on it as well. It's a very minimalist thing from start to finish. I thought it was an amazing piece, and I was so honoured that he'd written something specifically for me, and I really wanted to do it justice, and I think we did. I hope we did. It was a really profound experience for me doing it, which sounds cheesy but is true.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to keep the admiration going, because I think this is the essence of what makes Doctor Who not only one of the best science fiction shows, but stands alone against everything else, because it is something that goes outside of the mind. It is something going outside of reality. We watch a TV show, we watch Star Wars, Star Trek, they got the photon for phasers, they've got the lightsabers and everything like that. But here, nothing, it really challenges the audience. And I think that's what's wonderful about Big Finish episodes, when it actually takes a great episode and challenges the listener.
I think that they're very brave in a lot of the stories that they do, and the production values. I was amazed when I first heard them. Storm Warning, I expected it to be. We have a radio channel called Radio 4 that do plays, and I do remember one time quite early on in doing a convention, and I said Radio 4 play, which is what we call them, a Radio 4 play. Yeah. But I've learned now not to say Radio 4 play.
On Valentine's Day, you can totally say Radio 4 play.
Radio 4 play, it will work on every level. But,
okay.
But I was saying, in the plays on Radio 4, they're very basic in their soundscape, and I was absolutely blown away when I first heard a Big Finish. The themes, the fact that Charley had her own musical theme, like an opera that came back every time she appeared, and I just think they are so rich and so dense that they create such wonderful pictures and vivid pictures in people's imaginations. And I also think something like Doctor Who works best in people's imaginations for me, because your imagination is limitless and you can create whatever you want, whereas it's not a sort of dependent on how good the CGI is now, or sort of egg boxes stuck on people's faces in the 70s and 60s. So I think sitting and listening to them, I know that fans of Big Finish really just say it's extraordinary, and they mean a huge amount to me. But I think that's because it taps into your own imagination and makes you, live it with the characters, which is great.
Now, India, if I right now was gonna, I have to call my bank and work out some stuff, and I have to call NatWest, because NatWest is my bank. If I call them right now, what would I hear?
You'd hear me saying, "I'm sorry, your call is very important to us. We'll be with you as soon as we can." Yeah, I know. I bank with NatWest as well, so I'm the person that says, due to higher than normal customer demand, we will take longer than ordinary to answer your call. Please, thank you for your patience. It's very annoying.
And then they play Doctor Who music in the background. No, the Muzak. It's Doctor Who Muzak.
Can I say you've really done your research? How do you know that I'm the voice of NatWest?
My sister lives in England. I can't help that. Okay. And another thing. Now, this is something I did find online. Do you enjoy insulting your boss? Because I know that television is a good thing to watch, but I don't think it's a good, career move.
Yeah, reason to get sacked. Yeah. What was that? That was a long time ago as well. That was UK Play or something.
Yeah.
That was, I think I got that through Big Finish as well, because someone said, I think someone said to Nick, do you know anyone that can do a good rant? And he went, oh yeah, India Fisher. So we just need a girl that can really rip a couple of strips off someone. And he said, yeah, I know just the girl for you. She's fine. That was good fun. I enjoyed doing that. That was, Not often you get to just shout at someone. Not get paid for it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the question of the moment, and I'm specifying the question correctly. I'll add this addendum. Not who's your favorite doctor, who's your doctor?
Oh, well, my doctor, what is Tom Baker? When I think of Doctor Who, I think of, hat, scarf, long coat, curly hair. That for me is the image I have in my head of
Doctor Who. Yeah, because you would
Who.
have been around 5 years old when Key to Time was going on, so that,
Yeah. You tell me. I'm afraid I don't know.
I was older.
I've never pretended to be a massively knowledgeable Doctor Who fan, but that's if you say Doctor Who to me, that's who I think of.
Yeah. Did you watch it at all when you were a child?
I watched bits of it. Yeah, you couldn't grow up in the 70s in England without knowing Doctor Who.
Right.
Absolutely. But no, it didn't. I must say, Star Wars caught my imagination more than Doctor Who. I was, we played Star Wars. I didn't play Doctor Who. But sorry.
And when you played Star Wars, who did you play?
Oh well, I have two older brothers, so I was allowed a Princess Leia toy, and I then got sort of the various drones and droids that had one arm missing and things like that. You can sit in the corner over there and play with those rather than. But I'm afraid we lived in the Staffordshire moors, and we had a big house that we couldn't afford to heat all the rooms in. So there was a sort of sitting room that was very cold, and it's the 70s, so my parents had it mainly white. So that was our hearth for a very long time. We had a whole hearth set up, me and my brothers. It's great.
That's cool. I like that. That's great.
We strung strings across the room, and you know how the little action figures' hands are sort of slightly cupped, and so you could hook them onto the string and then fling them down like a sort of like a zip line. It was quite good. Yeah, it stayed there for ages.
I hate the fact that all these toys that we grew up with, if we kept them in the closet, if we could just go back to our younger selves and say, don't open the box.
Yeah, don't. But you've got to open the box, kids.
I know.
Open the box. Don't not play with your toys. I hate that.
Or buy two of them and then open those boxes, but leave the other one. Trust me, you'll want to do this.
That is my thing. My 21st birthday, the boyfriend at the time bought me one of the sort of limited edition box sets of the the videos. That shows how old it is. The videos of all three Star Wars with the book, and it had limited edition. I mean, it's amazing. I've still got it, but unbeknownst to me, my sister had also bought it for me, but found out that my boyfriend was giving it to me, so she sent it back. And I was like, no, I could have had two and then not opened one. That would have been great, because I had to open it to see what was in it, so ruined it forever, unfortunately.
So wait a minute, Mark. I'm thinking outside the box. Literally, okay. I'm thinking Charlotte Pollard Funko Pops.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, what?
No. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No.
I
think they'd sell.
They would sell. They would. You did. You actually appeared on Dead Ringers.
I did.
In 2004.
Was it 2004?
It was 2004. Yeah.
Such a long time ago. Yeah, I did. I think I did a couple of series.
Yeah. But you played Jane Eyre in one of them.
I played who? Jane Eyre. Yeah, Jane Eyre. Yeah.
I am not pronouncing words correctly today. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm too enamored. I'm just. My mind is focusing.
It was a brilliant sketch about Jane Eyre going on sort of, what were they called? Like a sort of Jerry Springer type show where she was angry with her with Rochester for keeping the first Mrs. Eyre up in the attic, and there's a line about I saw her over by the water tank with the pigeons, and they say, oh, and was she mad? Of course she was livid. One of those.
Oh my God.
It was very funny.
Oh, that is good. I have to mention this too, because this is another show that I like. You actually had a foray into the Blake 7 universe.
I did do a Blake's 7. I had to learn
Blake's
that it
7,
is. Yeah. Apostrophe S. I was thinking it was Blake 7. Yes, I did. I did. Yeah.
It was one of the online audios that were done that Big Finish has now repackaged into it's called Blake 7, The Rebellion Reborn. And you can buy it, and you're playing Laura Mezzin in it, who is a Federation officer that you've kind of been forced into helping Blake.
Thank you very much for reminding me. That's brilliant. I have the worst memory. I'm really sorry. And people say, so that thing you did 22 years ago, and I'm like, yes.
See, I can't believe that early 2000 was that long ago. It doesn't seem that long ago.
It doesn't, does it? I know. I was thinking that for some reason, this new year, I thought, wow, the millennium was 17 years ago.
Yeah.
That seems like, 5 years ago.
That's what it feels like, yeah.
Yeah. Terrifying, yeah. But yes, so I'm afraid, sorry, yes, I know that I did Blake 7, but
you don't remember doing it.
I do remember doing it.
Were you in a drunken super?
I probably was. I was very... No, I never drink when working. Just
that's good. I do though. So no, I don't. No, we have a drinking.
We see?
No, we joke.
We see Charley and the Eighth Doctor. I'm sorry. Can we see Charley and the Eighth Doctor? Could you and Paul just get hammered one day, go into the Big Finish Studios,
just
pop out 3 or 4 episodes that way?
Yeah, that'd be great. The drunken years.
That would be a take my money moment.
You got to work with Paul again after you had left his TARDIS for Collins and then went off with the Virans. You got to work with him on the 50th anniversary Big Finish, The Light at the End.
I did. I got to work with lots of brilliant... I got to work with Tom Baker as well.
But you had to play a younger Charley back during the time that you were with Paul, so you hadn't matured as you had dealing with Colin and stuff.
Yeah, I did point this out to Nick when I read it. I was like, I don't sound like I did in 1999 anymore. Got a little bit more throaty. And yes, I had to actually go and listen to it and try and sort of get Charley's lighter tones back. It was interesting.
Yeah. Did you enjoy doing that anniversary episode? And who did you enjoy meeting if you hadn't met them before at the recording sessions?
Yeah, I loved doing it. It was great, and it was quite an honour that Charley was sort of so central to the 50th anniversary. And I'd met most of the people, but it was Tom Baker I was just in awe. I made a complete fool of myself when I met him, and was just like, oh, hello, hi, it's great to meet you. And he lived up to every single thing that you hear. He was fabulous obviously brilliant in the actual studio, but mainly unbelievably brilliant in the green room, because he would just hold forth with these wonderful stories. And then it was only about 3/4 of the way through the first day that I thought, actually, he's just making all of this up. This is brilliant. He just has this wicked sense of humour where you think he's just holding forth and none of this is true. He's just thinking, yeah, I can say what I like to you guys. It's great. I loved him. I was so in awe of him. It was brilliant. But obviously it was really, really nice to see Paul again, because I hadn't seen Paul for a long time. So it just felt, it really we clicked instantly as soon as we got back into the studio. It was lovely. Nice to play Charlie and him again.
All right.
I still harass Paul at the convention. Oh yeah, I still harass Paul at the conventions because there's this little thing going on because of the first kiss during his TV movie appearance that we've interviewed Daphne, and I actually had the pleasure of actually being on a host for Paul McGann, and I keep on telling him. I told Daphne, who's a better kisser, me or Paul McGann? She said me.
I reminded him of that in Oklahoma City. I reminded him of that.
So I told Paul, I said, Paul, Daphne told me I'm a better kisser, so what I need to know right now is I need to know if you or Daphne is the better kisser. So we'll go backstage, and I'll let everybody know on the next episode. He goes, oh, that sounds imperialistic. I don't know. How are we going to do this? I said, well, you won't have to tell everybody.
No, we've just told everybody in the audience, that's all. And everyone listening, yeah. Oh, Christian. So, India, we're at the...
Meaning where this came from, huh?
Yeah. India, we're at the part of the show where we give the guest a chance to plug upcoming projects and shows that they're doing. And what do you have in the future of India Fisher?
Oh, well, obviously there's Series 2, Charlotte Pollard, which you really should go and get. It's brilliant, coming out in March, so not long. And personally, I have more series of MasterChef, and I do a lot of voiceovers now, so I have, it's not really sort of projects, they're sort of day-to-day things that come in, sort of radio and adverts and things. So, Big Finish. And let's hope there's Series 3 at some point in the not-too-distant future. Yeah, as long as people aren't bored to the back teeth, for want of a better word, with Charlie. You never know. It's hopefully people will like it, and I think it's great. I really think it's a clever story, and worth spending your hard-earned pennies on.
And hard-earned they are.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a web presence or any way that people can reach out to you?
No, I don't. I'm afraid. I mean, I am on Twitter.
Oh, you're on Facebook. That's good. That's always good.
Oh, yeah, I'm afraid I don't. Yeah, people very sweetly write to me on Facebook. I stopped actually. I don't know how to delete my Facebook account, and I never looked at it. I'm afraid, but I am on Twitter if people want to tweet me or whatever it is. But I've got a 3-year-old, so I don't have a huge amount of time to do things like that. Yeah, I hear you. So don't be offended if I don't respond immediately to your messages. But thank you very much for writing to me. But feel free to Twitter. India Fisher. So,
no, don't be embarrassed because we have the same issue. Somebody will write to me something pertinent or important, and then I will get that message, or I will go through our messages and see, like, it was back then 3 months ago, and I'll write back, I know this was important, but you still want me to...
I know, I'm awful. I'm afraid. I've never been a good letter writer. I always used to sort of as a kid, I always used to write my thank you letters for Christmas, in about March, and I still haven't done my thank you letters for my son for this Christmas, and it's February the 14th, so it's it's woeful, isn't it? So I'm afraid that people do write lovely letters to me, and I just don't get back to writing to them. So I'm very, very sorry to anyone who's written to me, and I haven't returned your letters. I love you all. Sorry.
Yeah, India, do you have any final words you want to tell the fans out there? Anything you want to say to them?
Oh, well, just, thank you for continuing to appreciate Charlie and taking her to your heart so much. And I'm, frankly amazed that people love her enough to listen to her spin-off series and really appreciate. I love playing her. I think she's a brilliant character, and so I'm very glad that some of that obviously conveys to people listening, and that's why they've sort of taken her to their hearts, and thank you very much, because it gives me a very lovely couple of weeks every few years when Nick can get around to writing the next series. So yeah, thanks.
Well, Charlie, if
Interchangeable, it's fine.
India.
Well, yeah, well, Indy. Anyways, well, India, I just got to say this, as much as you're thanking the fans out there, being a fan, let me respond back. Thank you for being a part of Doctor Who when we didn't have it. Thank you for giving us a companion and being a companion that we love, that I believe when they put out those little books about, the TV companions, Bernice Summerfield and Charlotte Pollard are part of that lineage. I don't think you can talk about just companions without Charlotte Pollard being a part of it. And now it seems that she has enough strength and fan and love that she's got her own series going on. I hope she goes to Series 3. And she was a big part of the 50th anniversary for Big Finish. She was a big part of the last episode of The Sixth Doctor. She was a big part of the Eighth Doctor and Zagreus and Scherzo, and just some lovely, lovely episodes that came across. So from a fan's perspective, thank you for making that bridge between the classic and the new continue, because there will be no way that I think, respectfully and intelligently for that matter, that anybody will be able to talk about Doctor Who without including Charley somewhere, and that India Fisher is in that league of companions that should be respected and admired for being there at the time.
Thank you. That's really kind and lovely of you to say. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I just love playing her, and I'm very, very grateful that I got an opportunity to be part of the Doctor Who world, because it's an extraordinary group of people, and I think it's testament to the programme and also the quality of the people who are fans that it stood the test of time and is continuing to grow. And I just think it's amazing. I'm touched to be part of it.
And if anybody challenges me, I'm actually quoting this from Bubba Burt Wilson. I'll take you behind the TARDIS and whip your damn ass. So, and
on that note, we'd like to thank you, India, for coming on Mark Who 42. We really appreciate it. We loved having you here, and because it's the Valentine show, make sure your husband takes you to a nice restaurant.
Oh, thank you very much, and I've loved talking to you both. It's been really fun. My face is slightly aching from smiling and laughing so much, but thank you, and happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Wow, it was a great Valentine's Day. Thank you, India Fisher, once again for coming on our show. You are our sweetheart.
We love her.
Okay. So, Christian, do we have any conventions or appearances coming up in the near future?
The most recent upcoming conventions you can check out at markwho42.net, but I'll read them real fast so that you guys can plot and plan ahead. Time Lord Fest, February 19th at the Events Factory. Kevin Spivey Band will be hosting panels and have the Mark Who 42 booth. That'll be in Tampa, Florida. Next month in March, we're going to have the Time Travelers Weekend. We just finally got that confirmed with it. We will have a booth and possibly performing some trivia and stuff like that. That also will be taking place in Tampa Bay.
What exactly is that, Christian?
It's kind of like a Renaissance fair geared towards time travel. So mostly you're going to have a ton of Whovians out there. That's going to be taking place March 11th through the 12th. Wholanta in May 5th through the 7th in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll also have our Parents in Oasis 29, which will take place May 19th to 21st here in Orlando, Florida. MegaCon, May 25th through the 28th. That will be taking place at the Orange County Convention Center. Florida SuperCon will be there July 27th through the 30th. Definitely hosting panels, and the Mark Who 42 booth will be there as well. And finally, MegaCon Tampa Bay, September 29th through October 1st. Again, keep an eye up on our Facebook page and at markwho42.net for all the information. We have our upcoming conventions coming up if you want to check it out. You can also Google the information anywhere to find out more and get tickets to these conventions that we'll be going out to.
Excellent. All right, guys, any final words you have to say before we close today's show? Zion?
Besides the Capaldi stuff, I actually got around to watch The Invasion of Time.
Oh, okay.
And
what do you think?
And by far, as of right now, it's my favorite Tom Baker episode. It's in my top 5.
Wow.
But I find it so stupid that the ultimate weapon for the Great Key was a gun. And if I'm not wrong, it was the it was the same prop as the sniper from the Deadly Assassin, right?
Probably, yes. They did reuse
the
props,
ultimate weapon for the Great Key was a gun. And that the fact that he lost all his memory of said event when thing blew up. Great episode, but oh my goodness, that ending really pissed me off. But yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Christian, any final words?
Oh, yeah. Well, again, even though this episode comes out late, everybody who is, happy Valentine's Day. And if you're listening to this on Wednesday, enjoy the discounted chocolates, dying roses, and everything that are out there. And if you forgot to get your sweetie something, yeah, there's a bunch of discounted stuff to go out there and get. But definitely we'll see you this weekend in Tampa at Time Lord Fest. So definitely please come on out. You can go check out their Facebook. You can link it up to their tickets. You can still purchase tickets now. Otherwise, we will see you this weekend in Tampa.
And for all of those out there in New Orleans going to Mardi Gras, the Carnival, don't forget that this Saturday, and I will be there, is the Crew de Chewbacca's Parade. And Crew de Who, the Doctor Who fan club and marchers of the parade, will be in attendance. It's a science fiction Mardi Gras parade. It's going to be amazing. I am so glad that I am finally going to get a chance to watch this parade. And I'll miss you guys in Tampa. I won't be there at Time Lord Fest, and I apologize. But to all the Crew to Who people listening, I'll see you there, guys. And on that note, bye everyone. Mark Who 42 is written and presented by Mark Baumgarten, Christian Basil, Patty Hawkins, Iggy Matthews, and Zion Kiros. This episode was edited, directed, and produced by Mark Baumgarten and co-produced by Christian Basil. Visit markwho42.net where you can register and become part of the Whoniverse Army. We can be contacted by email at mark@markwho42, subject line, ? If you'd like a chance to be a guest on our radio show, send an email to our Media Relations Director, Christian Basil, at markwho42media@yahoo.com. You can have Mark Who 42 entertain at your next event or convention. Go to heroesonhand.com/markwho42. Space Coast Comics is a free monthly magazine found in over 120 locations currently throughout Brevard County, parts of Osceola, Volusia, and Indian River County in Florida, and soon to be available in Chicago. Follow them on Facebook to learn more. Doctor Who and its properties are owned by the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. This show is owned and copyrighted by Mark Baumgarten, 2017. This is Krypton Radio.